So the more skills you have, so you have front end functional manual, what we call that manual testing, right? Then you have back end data validation, and then you have API testing. So you can be on a job where you're only doing front end testing, but then you can be on a job where they want you to do front end testing. But when you do front end testing, they want you to verify that what's on the front end matches the database. These are all skills. And this is before you actually add automation. Because then the UI, like Tony said, can be automated. The API can also be automated. In some ways, can't the database be automated too?
Yep.
Yeah, so I don't see much of that, but personally, but more of API. And I will tell you, one of the things I'm personally seeing, I don't know if Tony is seeing it, but one of the things I'm personally seeing is when it comes to AI testing, API testing becomes to me even more important because now we got chats and AI LLMs pulling from so many different places. And AI hallucinates. AI has biases. So that's a whole nother realm of testing. All right, which I'm going to do an intro module on that later on that you guys get later on in this quarter. All right, because we're prioritizing intro to playwright just for road to QA, the 7 days, but not the 30-day program. So you can start touching playwright too from a, but I want you to also realize from automation, there's 3 different types of ways you can use automation. You can use automation from a no code tool. So you can use a no code tool. What is it? Catalan Studio, record and playback, right? So
Yep.
something that just records. You can also use something like, what is it? Playwright Code Gen, where it also records. But then you can use also like a low code tool and use Mabel. There's a couple of them. And then you can use a scripting tool where, yeah, you are full-fledged going into there and you're scripting it. So you can use Selenium, Catalan, you can use Cypress. Now your skills, the difference is that when you can script, it's more scalable, you can fix things. But now you have like Copilot where it can help you self-heal and fix your code and give you perspectives on how you can update or change things. Now you still gotta be careful with that, right? Because still having the skill of being able to code is where you have that human eye. You don't want to just always take everything that AI just tells you. But it definitely is going to help you be more efficient. You can definitely take the basics of coding, and if you have JavaScript or Python, and be able to do end-to-end tests and use something like Copilot or something next to it to help you as you're on your way. But you got to know how to also now prompt and feed AI. So that's a whole nother skill, right? Is now prompting and feeding it because it can give you, like I said, it can hallucinate and give you biases. There's several things that can go on with that. And that's a whole nother ways that you test AI. So I'm not going to get through that, but I want to give you a view that these are skills. Front end testing, back end testing, middleware testing, automation testing. We're not even mentioning that you can go into security testing, performance testing, accessibility testing, AI testing. This is why I tell you, you would never learn anything. You would never get into the market if I didn't tell you to go because you'll think you're not enough and you'll say, oh, but this job says this job says this. That one just isn't for you for your first yes. You get
Right.
into the market with what you have, get your first yes, and then you keep skilling up with where you want to go. You got that?
Yep.
Awesome. What else we got? So was that helpful? So do we have a high aha moment kind of with the API? Because I want to always make sure we will that in. What is the API?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. Hey Antoine, hey Sonia, how y'all doing tonight? My lovely team
Hey,
that
so how you doing? How you
works
doing,
so
Tony?
hey, how them babies doing?
They doing good. Hey, Tony, how you
Good.
doing, man?
Antoine, how are you?
Doing great.
Yeah, my lovely team that just does road to QA so well. And I just like they be on the calls and that's it. Oh, Antoine, can you reach out to Patrice because she missed my call with her today. Check in on her. Do you mind doing it?
Yeah, I
I
can
think
do that. Yeah.
okay, yeah, because she did my call. She missed my call today. But other than that, what else we got? This session is for you. We got about 20 more minutes. You have anything just road to QA related, market related? We can look at a few jobs because I got 6 of them, probably about 10. If we don't have any automation specifically or API, since Tony's here, some of them might mention automation. Maybe we can talk about that. But what else we got?
Hey, my name is Roy. So I have an electrician background, and I was wondering if y'all have any, let's say, jobs like specifically for that area, since that's like my expertise, and QA would be like a new for me.
I don't feel that necessarily I see them specifically for yeah, I don't.
When I say like electrician, anything, I guess, in that kind of like area since,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So if it's, oh yeah, go. I'll let Tony
you
talk.
remember Wilden.
Oh, I totally forgot. Literally, that's the job I met Tony at.
Oh,
And
really?
I just said,
They do. I don't even know what they do, to be honest. I just came in that job. I automated some things, but I know it's all energy. See, I'll tell you the way it works. Let's say you have a background. For example, for you, Roy, it's been you say been an electrician, right?
Yes, sir.
And you will probably have an edge if a company is now looking specifically for somebody that has that background. I've seen it with maybe somebody who's in banking and then they're looking for a QA in that field. And I don't, 10 people can apply, but it will go with the person that understand the domain.
Right.
Yeah. So domain plus your tech expertise, the person with the domain will always come out on top. And you can also look even maybe if things that are geared towards that. But I just know about oil and gas, I know about banking and some other fields, but your field, I'm not sure if I do, but that would be,
it's
something.
crazy because they were literally just hiring like a few months ago. Didn't I tell you that,
Right.
Tony? I think I told you that. I don't see
The
anything
reason
on there now,
the
but
reason I ask is because my last job, I was trying to get into cybersecurity and
Mhm.
it was doing really good. I was working at a VA hospital and I ran into, I guess, I needed to be an electrician, but I also needed to be in IT kind of situation. So I don't know, I guess this is a new position. I don't know.
I see.
So you're talking about like positioning. Can you land another role?
Can I like capitalize my job experience with my
You
electrician?
can if you see a role. I would say so. My perspective would be you can do one or two things. And Sonia also does resumes and Jarrell actually, but has done many of the resumes, so I don't know if she has a perspective. But my thought is there are maybe one or two things you could do. I don't want you to funnel yourself into just that because now you're talking about almost not to say zero jobs, but very minimal. You're already fighting to get your first one. You have to focus on your resume telling the story that you can do the QA role regardless of the domain. So you could have two resumes, one that speaks very highly to that type of domain if one comes, and then
That's
maybe
a
have
great idea.
another one that's lists all the different domains. So like you
Yeah,
can, that's what I would do. So
I
then
never
if
thought
you,
about that. Yeah,
yeah, so then
that's a
if you
great idea.
have a job that's really more in that electricity, energy type of field or whatever that, then you can go harder at it, right? But then also, and that's
Yeah,
only if you feel that's really in that direction. That's what I would say.
gotcha.
Someone else may have a different perspective, but that's when I would just go all in because I'll say, oh, yeah, I'm a part of this domain. Here's how I'm the SME. Yes, I'm using everything for this version resume, but you don't want to cut yourself off. And so I just feel like those type of roles may come thin and in between directly just for that domain. So I don't feel like that's a lot of moving resumes. I think you could just have two up there and then choose whichever one you're going to use. So that's what I would do because we want to focus more on pulling out the transferable skills, but we do want to leverage the domain because Tony said you can have one and you will add you because you've been a part of that domain every time you'll more likely be the one to get that job or to get seen first or to get an interview because you already have domain knowledge. Just
Right.
like with insurance or mortgages. I know for me, if like mortgage stuff makes my eyes cross. Okay, so I could never test personally. I could never test anything that has to do with housing and mortgage software. Can't do it. I won't apply for it because being a SME at that is just the compliances, the regulations. It's a lot. And unless you've been in that, to me, unless you've been in that type of field, like a real estate agent, I'll be good with that. Mortgage consultant because they're being a part of. Now, I'm not saying you can't learn it, but for me, I'm just not going to personally apply for it. But for me, if I've been a part of SaaS, but then it's more mortgage tailored SaaS, that other person will probably have their eyes because they've actually been a real estate agent. So that's what I would personally do. I don't want to open
Gotcha. That's a great idea. I'm gonna do that.
up. So what else we got?
what is the highest domain that you would say is out there? Is it healthcare?
Good question. That's a good question. I think I see a
Because
lot
when
there.
I went on Indeed, I saw so much with healthcare, which is the field I'm in, so I'm excited about that. But I, a lot of it is healthcare. I work with EMR, EHR systems, and I'm actually transferring my experience in those to a.
Okay. I personally see a lot of healthcare. I don't think I could just say per se that I know. I think it just varies. I've seen some SaaS and healthcare. I definitely think are huge. SaaS and healthcare to me are pretty huge. Software as a service, but it just varies. Sometimes, like the market, I saw quite a few jobs this week, and I was like, whoa, like they are throwing out some good ones this week. Like, I'll go ahead and share my screen, and I got like a few jobs, and we can also look at kind of what I brought up. But I think it just varies. So, for instance, I know. Okay. So, this We Were One. Safe Ride Health. There you go. There you go. Technology. I would go apply for that. I don't know how far, but that's a manual position. Now it says basic scripting knowledge, but don't let that scare you. If you meet 70% of this, you need to be applying. At least start getting the feel if you feel comfortable. Working knowledge of SQL and relational databases. We just talked about that at a high level. But essentially, these are your responsibilities. This is manual QA work. This is a good one right here. I'll put that in the chat for you. I am going to release these. I am going to release these. Where did my thing go? I'm sorry. I'm just looking for my Zoom. The Zoom share thing. I'm going to have to restart my computer. I'm just like missing everything. I don't know where anything is going right now. There it is. I don't know why it's all the way over there.
So, Jen, what type of domains have you worked for?
Oh, wow. Healthcare, SaaS, insurance, auto, finance. I'm trying to go down the line. Energy. And I think that's it.
So, which should we apply for those, even though we don't
Heck
have
yeah,
that
you're gonna apply for
background?
everything. Don't worry about the domain. It's about the skill set. You can always become a SME of the domain. That's why I say don't position yourself to only go for just that domain. We just want to leverage that domain if you see something. So if you see something that's within your domain, that's where you attack it full-fledged, where maybe you tweak your resume, you have another version that just goes a little bit harder because of that domain. Maybe you reach out to the LinkedIn recruiter and you say, by the way, I have EMR and XYZ in this Apex system or whatever you use. You see what I'm saying? Like you're just going to hit it harder. I want you to leverage your domain more when you see something that's in your domain. But you don't want to just slim yourself into that domain. Absolutely not. I just landed a role with insurance auto. I ain't never did insurance auto, but they know I know how to test. They know I understand how to take their information and become the SME, read the business requirements. They know I understand how to go into a day in a day as a QA. That's what they know. Now, definitely as you come into the internship, you'll really put all of this together. But we do have people and have had over 100 people land jobs without ever coming to my internship. So I'm just saying, if you feel comfortable, you don't have to. But absolutely do not box yourself into just a domain. It's about skill set. Can you do the job when you read that job description based upon what it's asking? What is your level of skill and competency with it, with what they're asking? This one is saying entry level. All right. So then we look at this one. This one says a manual tester, QA. If you meet 70% of the job description, apply. A lot of these jobs are wish lists and they'll decide if you're enough or not. If you're not enough, they just won't call you. Don't worry about that. All right, high energy clients, manual testing and script writing for now this ain't manual testing and script writing, but they call it a manual tester. So again, a lot of times they do that or whatever. But when it says about you, they don't even list, they say manual testing and script creation. That could be with a no code or low code tool. We don't know. But since they didn't shine a light on that they want Python and Java and stuff, what you might have enough. So just like Miss Miller, who was talking earlier, and she did the 1 hour automation module, with her just being able to understand that she'd been inside of Selenium and she built something, she did an end-to-end test with Python, and here's how she would go about that could be enough. This is a manual tester role. They might just want someone that understands how to go into a manual test, actual automation tool. So really, this is a manual testing role with a wish list, a wish of maybe somebody that has some script writing. But this could be maybe you automated something with a no code tool or a low code tool or a coding tool. So do not, and this is where you guys will set yourself up where you want to apply for jobs like this, because you'll say, I don't have all this. You don't have to have, you don't, I don't want to say don't think deep about it, but if it's literally saying you have to have Python or Java in this scripting language, then that's probably not for you yet. But these type of roles is what you should be going for. This is 70% and above. This is probably 80%. I'm still gonna say 90% because I'm saying I feel like they trying to get somebody in, not to say pay low, but trying to get somebody that maybe would take 75, 80 remote and have some scripting, not and try to see if I can get a little skill out of you, but because it's a manual role, I don't pay you as much. I'm just saying. I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying.
So for script writing, and how would I do my test case if I don't know much about script writing?
Script writing is different. That's automation. That's basically what they're
Okay.
saying. So script create, but I'm gonna say this, that actually doesn't mean that. So there's two things in here. They're saying manual test scripts. So sometimes, so normally it's like manual test case writing, or but essentially when they say scripts, they're saying automation. But the way they're saying it here, there just sounds like they're calling the manual test cases scripts. Because when you automate, you're turning the test case into a automated script. So sometimes that's another reason why you got to read the job description, because a lot of times they're just using terminology, because a test case is a script. But unless it says, because it says in manual testing and script writing, this could simply be you're testing it manually, but you're actually writing the test case script. They keep saying front end, and this is banking. So actually, now that I'm reading this, to me, no, there's no reason why every single one of you couldn't apply for this if you have done the core of it, because it looks like just a manual testing. To me, it looks like they're literally just using the word script, because they're not saying automation, but they're using the word script versus test case.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay. So let me do another one. So this one is interesting because we've had Ashley, when she has an update, she's coming up back because she just got another promotion. So she's gonna come back to speak. But when she first landed her role, I think she was a product specialist, product analyst, and they had her doing like QA BA work on her first QA role. So this one is a business system analyst. So this is a QA plus BA. So what does that mean? As a BA QA, you might be helping speaking to the stakeholders to get the actual requirements. So if you've had project management, if you've had, is it best to apply on LinkedIn or either? So I'm going to personally say that it depends, not it depends, but if I see something I like, I'm going directly to the site. That's just my answer. So I have better chances with that company. Sometimes I'll do easy apply and I direct apply just for the chances, but a lot of times, sometimes you could be, if you already did easy apply and you didn't get through, I feel like it backfires if you go to apply directly. So if you feel like, oh, this is 100% me, and I'm not going to say 100% because we should always have jobs that has a 10% gap so we don't also look overqualified. But to me, I'm going to say if I feel like this job is 70, 80, 90% mine, like I could do this, I understand everything going on here, I'm going direct apply. That's my personal opinion. I'm always going to go look at it on LinkedIn, but I'm going direct apply. And then I'm going to see like how they have the job poster. I may message him, introduce myself. I'm going to go above and beyond. That's what I do. So as a business system analyst, you're gathering, which is interesting because at my company, they have QAs, but then they have BAs, then they have BSAs. So I am a QA from an automation standpoint, but then we have manual QAs that are technically under me. And then we have BSAs that are basically, they do a little bit of business analyst, so they do some requirement gathering plus testing. Then we have full BAs. Literally, I was like, for real? So never seen that at a company. So literally, those are all jobs. And they basically are all within that QA realm. But so if you was getting a QA role at my company, it'd be like you can be a QA, automation QA, you can be a BSA, and you have 3 different ways. But these type of roles you can go for too, especially if you have like project management. This is good for someone who has project management and stuff like that, because now you can combine your project management with QA. You see what I'm saying? And so these type of roles are good. So now it's saying you are project management with technical. And because what they're trying to do now is they're finding that a lot of like BAs aren't technical, right? And that also hinders when they're deciding different things and actually pulling items into the sprint and getting things done, because the BA, they're gathering the stuff, but they may not really understand the depth or the actual work or the technical behind it and asking the right questions when formulating this. 2 or more years with BA and analysis experience. Again, we're going to use transferable skills. So you're going to pull out all those project management skills. All right, now we're going to talk about the actual QA. Now, this one does say experience with databases and Selenium and other automated scripts preferred. So they're saying preferred. So it definitely sounds like they are going to look at someone who has some scripting experience. So to me, it definitely feels like they might try to, how can I say this? They're trying to get a lot in one role, and these are two different roles, because that's a lot for somebody to be pulling requirements and doing any testing and automation. That's a lot. So I would definitely be like, you got to give me 6 figures for this. Otherwise, I'm not interested personally. As a first role, that would just be a lot. If it was like more so BA and just more manual QA and they're not talking about automation, then okay. But they're asking for a lot in this. They could get it, but that's just a lot. But I'm still going to say that this is still a role. I will still tell you to apply for it, especially if you have some automation. I'm not going to tell you not to. I'm always going to tell you to apply for everything. And first thing first is also because you want to get through these interviews. They still might ask you something where you stumble and you need some improvement. It's okay. That job maybe just wasn't for you. But now you got past that. So out of 1 to 10 interviews, okay, now you got one down and you know what you need to keep working on. Okay, so I'm gonna I'll put that one in chat. Then we got 3 minutes trying to get through. Then we have this one. It says ACE Lab. It says entry level. Manual testing. I'm not even gonna go through this because y'all can read this. Everything you learn in Road to QA. No reason why you can't go to this. Now it says preferred. So if you have previous internship coursework, exposure to bug tracking, familiar with API concepts, interest in accessibility testing, you can go highlight this and go tell ChatGPT and Google to teach you the basics of accessibility testing and that, or go watch a Udemy real quick for $10. And if you have background interest in architecture, design, construction, because it looks like that's what that field is. So if you come from that, even being an electrician, to me, still, because when you come to architecture, design, or construction, you still need electricity, right? So I'm thinking from all of those perspectives. And so, yeah, this is a good one. So did I post it in the chat? Yeah, I did. All right. And then this one was a good one with Allstate. This is a product test systems test. Notice how the job descriptions are different. All right. This is a really good one. The highlight on this is experience with SQL. So the only difference is they're going to want some database experience. So just working on the database a little bit more and being able to go into the database and manipulate that. But other than that, you're learning all of this in Road to QA. You should have your hands on all of that stuff. This one is a software test engineer. And 2 years of experience. Now, say experience with test automation tool. This is that one of those where with me and Tony doing the 30 days of automation. So you're touching Selenium and Python inside of the intro module of Road to QA, right? Tony, you got 3 more minutes. I'm just going to close out.
I'm good, Jenny. You're good.
Okay. So we're touching so you'll have your hands on this. So even outside of the 30 days automation, if you ever didn't come to that, you doing the intro module still is enough for you to say, okay, I have experience from this level. Okay. Now it's just going to be, do they want someone more experienced or more senior, or is what you have enough to keep growing with the company? If you still look at this job description, 2 years experience, because the person that got 2 years experience don't technically have, I wouldn't say they're proficient in automation unless they just had coding skills and they went to automation. So that would be a different route. And it says understanding of accessibility. So again, just even on my resume, I would just say something like, maybe you haven't tested accessibility, but you could say familiar with of compliance standards in 508. Go watch a video on that. We actually want to add a masterclass about accessibility testing soon. It probably just won't come until the beginning of 2026, but you can go watch something for that, just to even speak to it. Now, what is CI/CD pipelines? We do want to add an intro module to that so you can understand that. A lot of times when it comes to CI/CD, this is coming, you are seeing this more on job descriptions. for QAs, period. It is more of going into a SDET that has a lot more experience and going into DevOps, but we still at a high level can use GitHub for CI/CD. So there's some things with that in Road to QA that I do want you guys to know. We are doing this inside of the 30 days automation, but even just understanding that process is enough. You see what I'm saying? And how manual testing is now added into the CI/CD pipeline. What is a CI/CD pipeline? So what I would do is we're going to add this. We have a video where we talked about this. I have to find it in Road to QA, but you could probably search Road to QA. We talked about CI/CD, and I think Admis came and did an overview of it. But essentially, you can even go on, what is it called, on ChatGPT, and you can take this bullet and you can say, explain to me like a 10-year-old as a manual QA tester, how do I contribute, or what is CI/CD pipeline, right? How does it contribute to automation? How do I contribute to automation? How can I support CI/CD pipeline without being proficient in coding or automation? You see how I'm doing that? So before you do, you can learn like that too. And this is how you go in an interview and you can say, in my experience or on my most recent project or in my experience, CI/CD hasn't been my actual responsibility. However, I do understand from a testing perspective how manual testing actually contributes to the CI/CD pipeline. Here's how. You see what I'm saying? This is how you're not saying you don't know, but you're also not saying I can do this. And that allows them to be okay with that, because a lot of this end up being more wish lists. Because again, yeah, they'll probably take somebody, but when you have these type of skills, you got to pay a person a little more. Okay. Is that making sense for you? Okay. Just let me know if it's helpful. All right. So then we got two more and then we're going to get out of here. Thank you, Tony. So then we got Bitwarden, 70K to 90K. This is, again, absolutely what I love is they tell you what you're doing. Now, one thing that stands out is APIs in here. Miss Atrina, Miss Miller, she said she like APIs. Here you go right here. It says help maintain automated tests with one or more industry proven automation frameworks and testing for mobile as well as RESTful APIs. There you go. You've done that. You've done that intro module. You've done that. And then this just says nice to have. So you're going to have experience with Jira, also an internship. Now they do use Python. I will say in our 30 days of automation, we are doing JavaScript and TypeScript, but in the intro module in Road to QA, you're using Python, right? I believe with Selenium. So you have that. And when you see all of these things, don't let all of these words scare you. All right. If it's something you feel you haven't directly seen in Road to QA or you need further explained to, that's when you come to the calls or post a question so we can give you feedback or we can add it as an intro or understanding.
Jenny, if I
Yes.
can say one thing, when you see
Yes.
a lot of things like this, sometimes they don't even have anything yet. So you see that there's a lot because everything, they have Selenium, they have Cucumber, they have three languages. They're not using three languages to develop their automation. They just
Right.
know any of this, whether it's Java, whether it's C# or Python. That's what I've experienced when they have a lot like this is the fact that one, they may not have a robust framework that you probably will be the person that started from scratch, or they're saying maybe the more programming language agnostic that if somebody understand any of these languages, they are good enough to do what we do because maybe the languages part is only like 15-20%. The rest is just automation tool.
I love that perspective. And please remember, Tony has been a QA manager. Okay. He said, so you're not just talking about you're not just talking about automation QA, okay, senior automation engineer. You're talking about he's a QA manager. He definitely knows when it goes what it takes. Definitely. And then, but what you do is again, put this inside of your chat and say, be honest. Say, here's my resume, or here's my experience, here's my understanding manual testing. How can I speak to this? Or how can I understand what Git is? How do I use it? And again, but don't also try to get a little bit. And then if it's a gap, then come to Road to QA and let us explain or help you, right? But a lot of times you guys will see this and then you'll see, okay, nice to have, but you'll still be like, oh, I can't apply to this. Look at all this stuff down here. All you see these keywords. You just see all these keywords. I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh yeah, I meet 80% of that, 90% of this job description. What you not going for? Now, if you know any more of this, just bonus. I'm going to stand out some more. So like Ms. Miller, she can speak to Selenium and Python. She can speak to API. So now she can stand out a little bit more because she's been able to put her hands on it. She feels comfortable and now she's still learning. But still the core of QA, everything you're getting enrolled to QA, there's no reason why you guys can't apply for this role. And then the last one is this one, QA tester. And I said develop and execute test cases on a lot of modules, perform functional regression, support UAT requirements 3 to 6 years. Now it says testing experience and investment management. So I will assume that if you have investment management or finance, they're going to look at you first. But again, still focus on this from a skill set. So if you have finance in some way and as a domain in your past, I will let that shine too. All right, in your transferable skills and domain knowledge. And then if you like SQL and you've been practicing with the database some more, let that shine too. Now it says automation testing. These are the type of ones too. Automation testing experience is a plus. Again, I'm going to say that if you have probably finance or investment management, and if you have automation, they're probably going to look at you first because that's what stands out to them. But based upon this job description, there's still no reason why you can't apply for this role, even from minus the domain, because you still got to understand their business requirements to test, even the person coming in. What I'm looking for is what are they asking for in a day to day? Was that helpful for anybody?
Very helpful.
Okay.
Very helpful in you that the fact that you break it down, because sometimes the technological language, it does look like a little intimidating, but you're like, oh yeah, Tony's, oh, they're not going to use all this. That's a HR perspective. They just put a whole lot of gobbledygook in there.
And they can still have high hopes, right? They can still have high hopes and they go with another person that got more experience and then they pay them a little bit less or whatever. I don't know. But what I'm saying is when you read that, depending on how it's positioned, if it's not, like he said, if it's not firmly, you got to be proficient with this tool and this coding, apply to it, right? If it says some automation knowledge of is a plus, those are the ones you want to be applying to. But that also means that you need to touch the automation module, touch the API module, and you need to be able to, you should be able to get 5 to 10 bullet points out of those modules and talk about how you go about those are still basic modules. So now you're putting your hands and you don't just look like just a manual tester, right? Because you got some front end testing, some back end testing, some database testing, if you're practicing also on a database and things of that nature, okay? But it doesn't mean you can't be in the market. If you see something and you just see that you're seeing more jobs ask for API, that means you need to go to the API module and keep practicing. And if it's something or a gap or a question you got, you come to Road to QA and let us answer it. If we feel like we're getting the same questions, we can add more to that module. But in order for us to add more, we need you to ask questions. Because what we don't want to do in Road to QA, the core, not the 30 days automations, I don't want you to be in Road to QA and then you just keep learning where you never get into the market. That's what Road to QA is about. Road to QA is saying, this is everything I'm giving you is enough. Come to the internship and let's go. Now you keep adding skills. So now you say, I did the automation, the intro to automation with Tony. I did the intro to API. Now I'm in the market. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to do the 30 days of automation, or now I'm going to go self-learn and keep working on these API, or not self-learn, but now I'm going to keep improving and testing these APIs until I understand what I'm doing. But you could still be in the market while you go through the program, go through the internship, and now go and get into the market to get the phone to ring. Do we understand? Because you would never think you're enough.
Yes, understood.
Okay. All right. Let's get ready to wrap it up. We don't have any more questions for Tony. Did we take away something tonight? Let me know.
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
All right. If you do, or if you will end up joining us in 30 Days Automation with Tony, we welcome you again as an RTQ student. You get $200 off full pay, so make sure you use that code. Either way, we will eventually, you can join it later. You don't, no pressure. What you have in Road to QA Core is enough to get into the market and to get the first yes. What we're doing in 30 Days Automation is now to make you even more skilled, even more competitive, and even more to get that phone to ring for higher opportunities. If you see some of the job descriptions, Tony, can I show them 3 real quick?
Yes.
Okay. So I want to show you guys. Can I show you guys the difference real quick? And the type of 3 roles that we are showing hold on. Okay. So I just want to show you the difference
Yes.
and give you an example of what we're doing. So if we look at this job description here, all right? So what we're doing in 30 days of automation is now we're going deeper. So now you can add on the skills to what you currently have. Because when I read this job description, it says quality assurance engineer 3. So now you're a higher level. Now this one is a little different because it says strong programming skills in C#. Now this is one of those where we're teaching JavaScript and Playwright, and I'm gonna have Tony give his perspective. But you're still getting Playwright experience. You just from a JavaScript perspective. So to go for jobs that's absolutely saying this. Do you see the difference in the job description now, Ms. Grace? Where it's like with a focus on automation testing, strong programming skills. So that's the difference. And I was trying to find the one. So this is like an example. And then let me find the other one. Tony, I sent you a whole bunch of them. And I'm like, what in the world did I do with them? I've been on here all day, you guys. Let me see if I can find it really quickly so I can let Tony go.
One of the ones here.
And even senior QA, it's two specifically I know I'm looking for, but they had the amount because they was like 100 and they was like
Is
100.
it the quadratic one? I can email them to you right quick.
Yeah, email it to me really quick
Okay.
because I want to show you guys the difference. Or like this one, right? It says 143, 179. Them some different numbers, right? Now this one says strong understanding of TCP and DNS and routing protocols. So definitely if you have come from this background, now it says experience with test automation frameworks such as Selenium, APM, familiar with CI/CD process and programming. You could still, with what we're teaching, you can go for roles like this, right, Tony?
Yeah.
So like with this one now, it does say, so comprehensive test plans on Windows, Mac, iOS. But look at this. Let me show y'all something. This says 143 to 179. I'm just saying. Now it says ensure test plan coverage, execute test plans. It says right here, assist with automation by identifying high priority or error-prone areas to automate. So this is why we keep telling you that manual testing is all. You might not see like roles that just call a manual tester. You may see more roles that says QA analyst, QA engineer, even from a manual standpoint, right? Because they want you to be engineering. They want you to be the SME. They want you to have more skills. All right. Being able to assist with test automation by identifying high priority areas is important because now you're saying from a manual perspective, what do we need to automate? What is important to the user so we don't miss it and we don't have defects and we can automate it and we don't have to do this manual testing over and over again and miss this. That's important. That's why becoming the SME of the job is important because adding something, let me say something. Okay, so if I had an e-commerce site, or let's go back to the airline, right? When someone goes on and they need to print off that ticket, that is important. If I can't print off my ticket or add it to my Apple Wallet, that's a problem.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So I will automate that to make sure that we can run an automation every morning to make sure that works versus automating something to just say, what would be something that you feel isn't a pressing feature for the airline? What do you think would be not a pressing feature for the user? So changing flights is important, right? Can a person change flights?
Yes.
Can a person print? Can a person add baggage? All of those are important, right?
Absolutely.
So I will automate that. But what would give me three features you think wouldn't be as important is the logo on the bottom of the page on a certain place. You see what I'm saying? It's important,
Yeah.
but it wouldn't be a high priority. It's not stopping the user.
Yeah. Being able to put your customer number on there, updating your data information. Maybe it's your passport number.
Oh, so from a manual perspective, the fact that I'm gonna tell you, in one of our students, Brian, he worked at Delta, right? He tests for Delta. I don't know if you knew that, but he's been on his role for about 3 months now. But just from that perspective, you see how you was able to say that? So now you can turn that into scenarios. But what does that mean? How do I choose automation? So now that you understand the manual perspective, I know how to choose automation because I understand that now when I'm a SME, a subject matter expert, I understand how that software should work. Now here's how I contribute to that. So every single one of you guys, once you become a SME from a manual perspective, should be able to do this. You really should. Every single one. It's no reason, like without doing automation, you should know how to contribute to that's the skill. You should be able to do that. I'm about to wrap up, Tony. And so then the difference is that they're talking about TCP. I don't know what this is. I'm gonna tell you, I still apply for this job. I don't know what none of that means. I don't know what none of them syllables mean. I'm gonna go look that up. I'll just tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go look that up, watch a few videos, and I'm gonna go on my resume and say familiar with. I'm gonna find a way to say how I'm familiar. Now, I'm not gonna say I tested it per se. I'm not gonna say now you could be, but guess what? VPN technology. How many of you guys went use VPN firewalls at work? We overthinking this.
Yep.
Yes, I'm familiar with VPNs and firewall. Here's how I use their work. It hasn't been a direct responsibility of testing it. However, here is a trouble or problem that I use that happened to me. Have you guys ever used Global Connect to connect that work and that thing just don't work? Or
Yep. Every day.
Yes.
You see how we think about this? Y'all be overthinking stuff. Like you go out to Chat GPT and tell them your real world experience and say, break this down for me. Okay. This is how we get our career stories. Okay.
Yep.
So now what me and Tony is doing is now we're adding this stuff though. So now you know how to go get this, but now experience with test automation framework, familiar with continuous CI/CD, knowledge of languages, JavaScript, and now you're getting this to go get 140 to 1. This is the difference from 70 to 110 to 120 to 140 to 179.
Big bucks.
That's the difference. All right. Did y'all learn something today? Did we help y'all out?
Absolutely.
Okay. So
Absolutely.
definitely get your first yes in tech. You will not know everything. That's why you got to get the first one and then you keep skilling up. Don't just keep learning and learning. And then you're like, oh, Jenny, I've been gone for a year and come back. It's okay if you're one of those people, but I'm just saying now don't do it differently because now I'm showing you how every job is going to require something different. You are enough. Go get it. And then come back to us if you want some more. All right. Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you
Thank
all.
you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for your time.
Thank you, Tony. You guys have a good night. We will
Awesome,
see you
Jenny.
guys
Good night,
next
everyone.
week.
Okay.
Thank you. You
Good
too.
night.
Have a good night.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Night.